We have a lot to be proud of in our great state. We are the best state in the country for business. We're an economic powerhouse, a state with great promise for so many. But sadly, we are also a state with some of the highest human trafficking rates in the country.
Wellspring Living began over 17 years ago, and we provided, first of all, housing and residential care and comprehensive services for women. And then in 2008, at the encouragement of Mayor Shirley Franklin, we began to work with girls in a residential setting, providing for them a hybrid education model as well as therapeutic services and life skills in a safe environment. And Bobbi and her team have been in a mentorship program that we provide for other organizations. Recently, I was with CJCC, and they were talking about the need for this type of services to be across our state. And of course, Columbus is a huge area where we have seen the frequency of trafficking and the need for residential care in that community.
Traffickers that we have dealt with in the investigations that we work, they really do look for the most vulnerable people. And sometimes it's not necessarily they're looking for a child. It's just that that child offers them the least resistance and is really kind of buying the lies that they're told and buying into that cycle of manipulation. So sometimes both the buyer and the seller aren't necessarily looking for a child. But however, that child being from the circumstances that they have either come from or have been put into make them just the perfect victim, so to speak. Looking at the children that just don't fit in. And they're offering them something that has never been offered to them before, and that is an adult who is purporting to help them out. Give them some food, give them some shelter, give them ways to make money and things of that nature. And unfortunately, the children have come from such broken places that that's something that they don't see the end result initially.
It's not unusual for kids to be trafficked, out on the streets, run away, be trafficked for a week or two, then come back and be at home for a while, and then go out again. In some cases of kids who are recruited by gangs, they actually live at home and then go out at night and get trafficked and then go home. So they spend a lot of time out at night. Parents don't really realize what's going on, but they're actually living at home. So they may be brought in by their parent, and they may be brought in by a parent who is also their trafficker. That's not unusual either. They may be brought in by somebody who claims to be their parent or a relative, an aunt, an uncle, but who is actually a trafficker.
Wright spent 3 years overseeing the Fulton County Human Trafficking Unit. Child sex trafficking is a long-time problem for the state and especially in Atlanta.
So I'll have a girl trafficked in Fulton, but she was also trafficked in Cobb, and then she spent some time in Gwinnett, or she came from South Georgia. So this will give me the ability to really work cases and not be confined by county lines.
maybe 5 or 10 different houses throughout the state of Georgia. And in that house, I probably would have maybe 5 or 6 girls. And those 5 or 6 girls have to meet a quota every single night. I'll say they have to sleep with 10 men. So if they sleep with 10 men a night, I'm making, I don't know, let's say $1,000 per. And I've got 5 or 6 houses throughout the state of Georgia. How much money do you think he's bringing? A lot of money, right? Escort services, residential and underground brothels, cyber pornography is huge.
Organizers for today's sex trafficking prevention training say we need to break down the ideas that trafficking is a big city problem or just girls being kidnapped from third world countries. It actually starts with signs that you might spot in our local kids and teens. Members of the Muskogee County School District, law enforcement, and local community members came together Thursday to hear one woman's powerful story of survival.
I actually was trafficked in Columbus by my trafficker. I'm from Atlanta, which is a hop and skip away, so things trickle down to surrounding cities like Columbus.
Keisha Head spoke at the Micah's Promise community training on sex trafficking. She shared her personal experience of sexual abuse at a young age and how traumatic events ultimately ended with being trafficked.
And when you don't have options, you really don't have a choice. And really understanding that this is more than meets the eye.
The buyers out there, there's a market for it, and we're not punishing them enough. We're not punishing those. It's amazing. We'll confiscate houses and cars of those who sell drugs, but we won't do the same for those who buy children.
Executive Director of Micah's Promise, Bobbi Starr, invited keynote speaker Kevin McNeil. McNeil says after working in law enforcement and serving in the military, he wanted to stop hiding behind uniforms and start telling his story.
At the first Grace Commission meeting earlier this month, Georgia Cares reported that the average age of a human traffic victim in our state is 14.8 years of age. That is very difficult to fathom, but it is true. There are people in almost every county in our state preying upon and taking advantage of our children. But through the leadership of the individuals standing right here with us today, we are fighting to change the status quo.